Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, February 27th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 184 days, the game against Michigan in 275 days. If you're planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. The NFL Combine has officially started in Indianapolis. We've got a whole team of guys over there covering it. Mark Giffler, Tony Gerdeman, and Kevin Noon all in Indy to cover that for you. Mark and Tony did an episode of the Buckeye Weekly podcast if you want to hear those guys discussing what they saw and what they heard on day one over there. But in this episode, you're going to get to hear from a couple of the Buckeyes who talked on Tuesday, Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. A couple guys that it's really a lot of fun stuff in those interviews. A lot of stuff we've never really not had a chance to hear from them much since the national championship game. So a little bit of looking back at the season, looking back at the national championship, all that kind of stuff. And then, of course, a little bit of looking ahead at life in the NFL and the whole draft process and all that kind of stuff. So some really interesting stuff getting to hear directly from both of those guys. We're going to start with one about the roommate process for the NFL Combine. You're not guaranteed anyone. You might get stuck rooming with someone you don't know from a different school, maybe even someone you've never met. Well, Jack Sawyer, he showed up in his room. You'll hear him first talk about this first, and then JT Tuimoloau. As it turns out, Jack Sawyer's roommate for the NFL Combine is JT Tuimoloau. You're going to hear from those guys back to back. If you are just listening on a podcast, if you hear two guys talking back to back, we're always just going to have Jack Sawyer be the first one and JT second, just to make it easy on you to figure out who's who.
Yeah, it's funny. We're getting out here, and he's out here out there training with me in California too. So we got told that your roommates out here could be random, and so I checked in first, and the bags didn't have names on them, so I had no idea who it was. And then here comes JT walking down the hallway, so we started laughing. It was good to be rooming with him again. So it's been fun.
Yeah. Having Jack there is just, it's extended family. So just having him there, we talk about everything and just what going through this process means for the both of us and how we dreamed about it as we were little kids. And it's crazy that time flies. We're already here.
One of the common things that guys will get asked about at the Combine is about their teammates who are also at the Combine. So Jack and JT were both asked to weigh in about what makes Tyleik Williams such a unique prospect.
Yeah, Tyleik is one of the biggest freaks in his draft class. He's 6'3" and can move, big boy. I call him the Kung Fu Panda because he can move so well for being so big. But yeah, he's one of the most unique guys I've been around or ever seen. Just with his size and his speed and athletic ability for being so big and so strong.
Tyleik, the way he moves, he's light on his feet. If you see him, you wouldn't think that, but when you see him move, it's just unreal. He's a freak of nature. He moves as if he's 250. But man, that's a man amongst kids right there.
The Buckeyes' run to a national championship was the longest season in college football history. Didn't end until January 20th, which did not leave a lot of time for Combine prep. So how did that compressed timetable change both Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau's approach to training?
Yeah, we had a late season, thankfully, ended late and was able to win the national championship. So we didn't have a whole lot of time, training. Flew straight out to California the next week after the game to start training. So really just taking care of your body and eating the right stuff. And I think we've done a really good job of that, all the guys too. So we all feel pretty good.
So it really just tested me on how I manage my time. Going back, like you said, getting your body right, as well as training, and just for all the things that are coming up, just understanding that this is how the league's going to be. You're going to have to spend your time very well and use it the correct way. There's no time to just let things go to waste. So you have to be very critical with your time, and that's what it taught me. And I'm blessed to go through this, and I think I've been handling my time well.
In the aftermath of that national championship, everything is kind of a little bit of a blur. They won the national title, came home, had that celebration in Ohio Stadium the following weekend, and then boom, off to train for the NFL Combine. So has it actually sunk in for these guys that they're national champions?
We were just talking about that last night. I don't think it's fully sunk in yet. I think it will once we get the rings, but it's definitely starting to sink in a little bit more. Realizing what we were able to do. So it was really cool, and it's still a special moment.
It hasn't hit yet, just how quick everything shifted. But I'll probably say my favorite memory I mean, you got to go with the scoop and score from Jack. I mean, just seeing it, where the game was at that time, and it was tied up. It was a close game, and that kind of like changed the whole momentum. And I mean, that's one play that I'll remember, and I'm pretty sure everybody will remember for the rest of their lives.
Speaking of that scoop and score play, how many times has Jack Sawyer watched that play?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times. But yeah, it's just cool, man. I was just happy to be able to make a play like that and ultimately help my team, win a national championship a week later. So it was a special moment. Definitely one I'll carry with me the rest of my life. But really, it was all about finishing off and getting the national championship done.
This one is JT Tuimoloau talking. Was that scoop and score against Texas kind of the moment that he felt that they really were going to win that national championship?
Yeah, I mean, y'all see me running. I was really running for just excitement at that point. But, man, I think after I was like, man, the way we fought through adversity, and especially that play, I was like, man, there's no doubt I feel like we're going to go win this thing.
And those guys got asked a little bit about what's coming next at Ohio State. First of all, Jack Sawyer was asked specifically about Edric Houston.
Yeah, Edric can be, as good as anybody else in the country, if he wants to be, with his size and his speed and his athletic ability, how strong he is too. He could be the best guy in the country in his position. So I think you guys will see him take a big leap going into his sophomore year and be a really productive player already.
All four of Ohio State's starting defensive linemen from last season are at the NFL Combine, which means there are 4 open starting spots on that defensive line. So what is next at Ohio State? Jack and JT both had thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'd say what's next is, like I said, Edric, you got Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson. I mean, those 4 guys right there are NFL players too. So I'm excited to see what they're going to do, with their first year all as a group together playing. Sky's the limit for those guys too. I know Coach Johnson's going to get those guys right, and I look forward to them all having a great season.
Even though we're young, we have a lot of great talent. You have Kenyatta Jackson, Caden Curry, Caden McDonald, Jason Moore, Edric Houston. I can go down the line, just everybody over there. We're young, but we got a lot of talent over there. I'm pretty sure Coach Jay is going to take care of them, put them through the ringer and through the coaching process just to get them better. And I'm excited to see what my bros do. And I'm praying over all of them, and it's just a wish for a blissful season.
One of the common themes of a lot of these interview sessions with these Buckeyes is how that loss to Michigan helped fuel that run to the national championship. Here was JT Tuimoloau's thoughts on that.
It was a time we hit rock bottom for a little bit, and we really had to decide. We really had to lean on our faith, on our brotherhood, and what we stand for. It could have been so easy for us to just spiral and separate, but I think once we come together, we regroup and understood what was still ahead of us. I mean, it was all gas right there.
We're going to finish with 3, just with Jack Sawyer. First of all, who are some pros who Jack maybe models his game after?
Yeah, I like to watch a handful of guys. Coach Johnson's always bringing stuff in and chopping it up for us from the pro level. So I watch a lot of T.J. Watt, a lot of Myles Garrett, Nick Bosa, all those guys, Max Crosby. All the guys are just the best at what they do right now. So just taking a mixture of things from all those guys, trying to emulate it in your game.
Jack Sawyer was viewed as one of the leaders in getting all those seniors to come back for one more shot at the national championship last year. What does he think now, looking back at those conversations about maybe trying to run it back for one more year, especially now knowing how it all ended?
Yeah, the offseason, the conversations were about, winning a national championship and winning the games on defensive side of the ball and being the best defense in the country, nothing else. And, it's cool looking back on it now and realizing what we did, really this time of the year last year, all coming back and deciding to run it back, and then being able to be the best defense in the country and winning the national championship. It's just such a blessing from God to be able to do those things and do with that group.
And finally, the Buckeyes run through the college football playoff. It felt like really dominating things at the line of scrimmage was a big part of that whole run. How important was physicality along those lines of scrimmage, coming straight from Jack Sawyer, a guy who was right there on the front line?
The game's won up front. Every game's won in the trenches. Whether the team throws for 400 yards or not, can't do the job without the offensive line, and defense same way. Going into every game, we're always trying to be the most physical team. It's something we preach going into every year and every game. Tyleek and Ty Hamilton lead it off and do a great job in the middle. And then, me and JT hold down the edges, and the guys behind us flying up, making plays. Guys like Lathan Ransom coming up in the hole and knocking guys out on the run, and Cody and Sonny being all over the place too. So playing physical and playing fast and violence like our MO at Ohio State.
Well, that is just a tiny bit of what we got to hear from the Buckeyes on Wednesday at the NFL Combine, and there's going to be much more coming later on today. You can find all of that stuff at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We've had all sorts of conversation about it on the Huddle Board presented by Jeff Ruby's Columbus. But you can watch all these interviews in their full unedited form on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BuckeyeHuddle. And as I mentioned earlier, Tony Gerderman and Mark Givler have an episode in the Buckeye Weekly podcast feed talking about some of the stuff that they saw and heard and experienced on Wednesday at the Combine. We'll have more coverage of that for the rest of the week going through Saturday. And then once that wraps up on Saturday, then we've got a Blue Jackets and Detroit Red Wings game coming up at Ohio Stadium. Kevin Noon and I will be there for that one as well. Quite a busy week for us. No, there's no off season anymore. Quite a busy week for us all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.